All right, the race for the White House for 2024 continues. So at the grand old age of 80, Joe Biden, your president, he is by far the most failed president, least that I've seen in my lifetime, probably in the history of the U.S., and yet now he wants a second term in office. Unfortunately for Joe, well, gravity seems to have other ideas. Now, yesterday, the entire country watched in shock another scary-looking fall, tumbling to the ground with a loud thump after having to be helped to his feet by multiple onlookers. Well, then Biden appeared dazed. He appeared confused. When he took a seat, his breathing was visibly labored. Didn't look particularly well, and no doubt it was a pretty scary moment for the president. But it wasn't just the fall that's deeply concerning. Earlier in the day, Biden needed a lot of help, special help, to find the stage and the podium. And during the speech, Joe had some, well, let's call them unusual moments. Take a look.
It wasn't all push-ups and cramming for Prague Week, though to set the Guinness Book of Records, world records, most simultaneous push-ups, there had to be an enormous amount of push-ups. Had him out doing loops and barrel rolls on a glider. I asked if I could do that today, and the Secret Service said, no, we'll have to shoot it down. By the way, I met with, who are those guys that fly over shortly? You heard of them, haven't you? 3 of them are women. And your class is one of the most diverse classes in the history of this academy, or any academy to graduate. That's why we're strong. That's why we're who we are. That's why we'll never give up. That's why.
Who are those guys that are about to do the flyover thing? Anyway, so after those very bizarre remarks, Biden returned home to the White House. And what happens? Well, he hit his head on Marine One. He then told the press corps that a rogue sandbag was responsible for him tripping and falling. Take a look.
I got sandbags. No braces.
Well, unfortunately, it appears that Biden has bigger problems than being sandbagged, but the media mob, they don't seem to care. Fake news, CNN, MSDNC, they barely mentioned Biden's fall like it never happened. In contrast, 4 years ago, here's how they covered Donald Trump. Remember, it was raining, he had a ramp, it didn't have a railing of any kind, and it was a very wet outdoor speech he gave at West Point. And so, in dress shoes, he walked slowly. Never fell. He very wisely walked slowly. Take a look.
President Trump is now the oldest president to hold office during a first term as he celebrated his 74th birthday yesterday. However, this milestone is bringing up new questions about his health, particularly over the moment with this weekend where he cautiously descended a ramp during the commencement speech at West Point Academy.
Tonight, new questions about President Trump's health after this walk down a ramp at West Point's graduation ceremony this weekend.
One doesn't need to be a physician to note that the president hasn't looked well recently, and he didn't look well on Saturday.
Having momentary stumbles, momentary lapses in, looks straining for a word or whatever it might be.
President Trump is not known for being athletic, so maybe he just has a hard time going down a gently sloping ramp. But do you see something possibly neurological that could be throwing off his balance?
It's so hard to say.
It's amazing. The media mob, they had nothing to say about Joe tripping and falling yet again yesterday. Anyway, here with reaction, former White House physician, Congressman Ronny Jackson is with us. Also, Fox and Friends weekend co-host, our friend Pete Hegseth. Good to see you both. Well, I mean, last time, he's saying now that he was sandbagged, doctor, but last time when he tripped 3 times going up the stairs of Air Force One, they blamed the wind when he got on Air Force One. I don't know what's worse, the fact that he tripped 3 times going up the stairs at one time, or the fact that they said the wind would blow him over. Either case to me is scary. What do you take out of this?
Well, Sean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm just going to say it again. This man's not fit mentally or physically to be our president. And it's a bad situation for us. Part of the job of the president of the United States is to inspire confidence and to project power. And he's not doing that. He can't do that. He's too old to do that. And I think it's a shame. I think that, his lack of physical ability and his physical decline is now starting to highlight the cognitive decline that we've been watching for so long now. And it's a package that just doesn't sell around the world, and it's becoming a national security issue for us. We have to do something about it. And to think that this man thinks that he could be president at the age of 86 when he's 80 right now, and that he could be in office for another 6 years, this is malpractice on the part of the White House and the West Wing to allow this to be happening, for him to even be talking about running for another term. And somebody needs to be held accountable. And people like Joe Biden and people that surround him that are supposed to love him and care about him, they should be doing something about this, and they should be stopping this, because this is shame.
Pete, I look at this. I mean, this is his third stumbling incident in 3 months. It seems like he's lost balance or is losing balance. Something is really off. Maybe the average person might trip and fall once, maybe a year, maybe, but if you're in relatively good health, you're not going to be tripping and falling like this.
Well, and there are plenty of people who trip and fall in their 80s because that's what happens as you get older, and that's not meant to impugn anybody. Those, including relatives of mine, that doesn't mean it's okay if you're the president of the United States. And, he couldn't find the podium. That clip of showing him walking off Marine One, not only did it hit his head, but he didn't salute the Marine at the bottom either, which is obvious for every president that's what you do. It's a seminal moment in front of the cameras. It's the things that he misses. He talks often, Sean, about how he's the dullest president. It's the things that happen underneath the dullness that are the radical aspects of what's happening. I've got friends texting me right now, talk about the Air Force, who are parts of commands under the Air Force that didn't do anything for Memorial Day, but they're flying trans and pride flags for the entire month of June. Radicalism is happening under the surface, and Joe Biden is allowing it to happen, whether he knows it or not. It's dangerous for the American people at home and abroad. Images like that are what foreign capitals see, and there's no way this guy can run. It's totally irresponsible.
Maybe I'm looking too deeply into this, Dr. Jackson, but it wasn't just the fall. It was his first attempt to get up on his own. He went right back down. It's like he didn't have the physical strength to pull himself up. Now, I work out every day. I know Pete works out a lot. I think you do as well, Doctor. And, I'm doing hundreds of push-ups every day and a lot of sit-ups every day as well. And, getting up is, even with a bum knee with a meniscus tear a year and a half ago, you know what? I can get up on my own, first shot, don't need 3 people to pull me up.
No, you're absolutely right, Johnny. Look, at the same thing happened when he fell on the steps of Air Force One. It took him at least three attempts to get up just then. And when he fell on his bike, he couldn't get up on his own either. It's to the point now where our commander-in-chief needs a walker. Can you imagine? That would be a better image than what we're seeing right now, is seeing him creep around in a walker. At least, he wouldn't be falling flat on his face in front of the entire world. So, yeah, this is a shame, Sean, and it's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for our country. And I pray to God that he does not get elected and for another. I don't honestly think he can finish the time he's got left. But should he finish that time, there's no way this man can be our president again for another 4 years.
There was some grumbling among progressives, Pete, that, we've got to keep our options open here. He is too old. He's not a good candidate. Those voices seem to be getting louder. Look, if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has 21% in the latest poll that I saw, and Marianne Williamson is at 10%, that's 30%. And I would argue, Kennedy's obviously, in my mind, a stronger candidate than Marianne, but what if they threw Gavin Newsom in this mix? What would happen then? I would argue he'd probably win the primary.
He would, and that's why they're doing everything they can to prevent it. That's why he's been willing to do whatever the progressives want. Because here's the dirty little secret. Everyone in the White House knows it. Everyone knows he has no business doing this job right now, but they're covering it up to protect their positions and their power, because they're really running the show. And so they'll keep giving the progressives what they want to prevent any opposition from the outside. Because if there was a real primary with real debates, with real town halls, with real rallies where he was in front of the American people, he's not going to win. I mean, 60-70% of Democrats already don't want him to run.
All right, thank you both. Coming up next, the 2024 field of Republicans is about to get much bigger next week. We will preview the expected announcements and where the race stands as we continue on the special edition of Hannity.